Hello and welcome back to an all-American football show, college football show. I'm so tired. I've been up late watching old games, documentaries, the Manti Te'o documentaries. Uh, but this is the all-American football show. I'm Big Cass. With me is Logan. MIA tonight is Joseph. Couldn't make it on tonight. He's working late, and it's our good boy Aaron Pearson's birthday. Happy birthday, Aaron!
Yeah,
Hope you're having a great day. Um, yeah, let's get into this episode. How you been, Logan? It's been a week.
I've been all right. Just going through the normal grind of work, trying to catch up on anything and everything that I missed out throughout the weekend if I didn't get to watch some of the games. I mean, week zero wasn't really a whole lot to talk about, but I mean, it's week zero for a reason. We did have Northwestern and Nebraska over in Dublin, Ireland, which was pretty much the headliner for the weekend. So it was a good game, but kind of went as expected. But we'll get to that more.
That game, man. I think across the board we all had Nebraska. I think
Yeah.
that's the one I think we had of the Joseph has all of our picks and stuff. So next week he'll go down our records and stuff for the first 2 weeks. But man, what a disaster second half that game was. Nebraska came out the gate looking real strong. Casey Thompson looked good, and then all of a sudden it's just the onside kick happened with 9 minutes to go into the third quarter, and Northwestern started running all over them, and that sealed the deal for Nebraska. Like,
I if I'm being honest though, I completely forgot that Helinski was still at Northwestern because I thought I thought he graduated a couple of years ago, but I didn't realize that he still had that extra year because I thought, with the way that transfer portal and everything has worked since before NIL, either you get cleared immediately to be eligible to play, or you have to sit out that year. So I thought his time was already done. I didn't know he was still at Northwestern.
yeah, I totally forgot too. But it is a year where it's an even year. Northwestern usually plays strong. Pat Fitzgerald is probably the number two best coach in the Big Ten, in my opinion, behind Ryan Day. I mean, Ryan Day's resume outside of losing to Michigan one year, it's there.
Yeah,
But I mean, Pat Fitzgerald, he's not going nowhere. The dude's 47 years old. He's been at Northwestern since 2007, and I mean, he ain't going nowhere. He's like Kirk Ferentz. I mean, he's never going anywhere. Uh, and the thing is he's already peaked. Like Northwestern is only going to go as far as they are.
oh,
They're never going to play for a natty. They're going to play for Big Ten championships. But I mean, can you imagine the type of coach Pat Fitzgerald? If he left Northwestern and went to a bigger school, I think he'd do really really well. I just think the comfortability he is Northwestern. He is definitely Northwestern.
yeah. I mean, like you said, with him being there since 2007, I remember when they had Dan Persa at quarterback, one of the only people that they had as a Heisman candidate, one of the only people that will ever be a Heisman candidate in Northwestern's history, too. He was a great quarterback back in the day, but given that uh, Fitzgerald's been there since 2007, that's 15 years. Talk about putting up as good of a resume as he has in 15 years with not a lot to work with. Like that should really show you something.
Yeah, absolutely. Outside of the week, that Vanderbilt, they're two more wins away from eclipsing that 3-win mark to Vegas. They put the smack. Let me tell you, is Vanderbilt that improved or is Hawaii that bad? We'll find out in 2 weeks when Hawaii travels across the country to go up to Ann Arbor. But I didn't catch any of that game. I didn't care to catch any of that game, but I saw the score and I was like, what? Like
Yeah,
63-10. Wow.
yeah. I it given that it was a later game, like last game of the night. I tried to stay up for it a little bit, but I think I made it through like the first quarter, then like maybe 2, 3 minutes into the second. But I sat there and it was like I think it was 14-7 at that point. And then next thing I know, I fell asleep, woke up, checking the scores, and I saw that and I'm like, Vanderbilt put up 63. I'm like, what's going on?
And it's the most points they've scored in such a long time. I didn't see the full stat. Um, but I think the highlight of week 0 this week was the disaster college game day show. You
Oh man.
had you had Lee Corso up there. God bless his heart, slurring words. Not sure. I don't think he sure was what he was talking about. I hope he's all good. I know Reese Davis said that he's in good spirits, blah, blah, that we'll see a better Lee Corso this week. I hope so. The guy's 87 years old, but he looked
Yeah.
awful. He sounded awful. And I feel for him because he is, our childhood, Lee Corso, man. Like he's the Mr. Headgear. But it comes to a point where it's like the guy's we know his health is bad. It comes to a point if you're ESPN, you have to cut ties. I mean, I know it's hard, but if you want to compete with Fox and now with CBS, with adding, them adding Tom Herman next year, and then CBS Fox bringing back Urban Meyer with Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn. Fox might be, jumping over college game day. And it's not just Lee Corso either. It's the silly remarks. I mean, the bear, like I have not heard outside of he's good with covering with spreads and stuff like that. But does the dude actually watch college football?
That's a great question because I've been asking myself that the last 2 or 3 years. Like, anytime I've watched College Game Day and they always give Bear his little 10, 15 seconds of fame, it's just, it's like he's good at covering the spread, like you said, but it's like he doesn't pay attention. He just goes based off of what people say. It's
He
what it's,
he has no acknowledgement of a game.
yeah.
Like I'll just go see what Vegas says.
Yeah. It's like you have that big of a spot, you're on national television. How are you not going to pay attention to any of this, especially when it could be a big slated game? Like, for example, like say if it was Florida State LSU, which we'll preview for this upcoming week. If it was something like that, those are two top caliber teams just because of history and name.
But what I don't get is like there's been past where there's been a great slate of college football games. Like there's Ohio State was playing Penn State, Alabama was playing LSU, and Clemson was playing Notre Dame, and all in the same week. I forget what year it was, but the Bear had up on his little stupid board none of those three games.
Yeah.
Like it's like why?
Yeah, there was one I remember last year. I think it was, I forget which week it was, but he had on his board, he had the three games. I don't remember what the other two were, but the one that he had up top that he made his pick for was Boise State and Wyoming.
I do remember that.
I was like, are you serious right now? Like, no one's going to be awake to watch that.
By the way, how bad is Wyoming, man?
Oh, that, yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, it was very, very bad. And then, of course, moving on for the Bear, who's all right. I mean, I love Kirk Herbstreit and I love David Pollock's takes. Reese Davis, I could tolerate. He's a good intro guy, like he is, but I mean,
Yeah.
but Desmond Howard,
You want to talk about a clown show?
the dude is a clown. Okay, I can make his college football picks. If you're just, if you're listening, you don't. I'm sure you know what college. I'm sure you know Desmond Howard's picks. Everybody does. I can make a case for three of those picks: Texas A&M, Baylor, Michigan. Good. Obviously, you can.
Yeah.
Because of who they play. Pitt,
Yeah. That.
you lose Jordan Addison, you lose Kenny Pickett, and you lose your offense coordinator, and you bring in a average USC quarterback.
Who, let alone, was battling for the starting quarterback spot at USC
And
with a guy
lost.
and lost with a guy who is now battling for a starting quarterback spot at Ole Miss. So neither quarterback is no longer at USC, and he
And
was battling a guy who's still battling for a starting spot at a different school now.
yeah,
That should, but yeah,
do you think he put Pitt because they're there week 1 for College game day to hype up that West Virginia game?
I mean that's really the only thing I could think of because yeah, I understand it's the backyard brawl between Pitt and West Virginia, but what what hype other than does Pitt have coming into this year because they lost their best player that they've had in a while in Kenny Pickett to the draft.
Do you think Urban Meyer, Reggie Bush, Brady Quinn, and Matt Leinart are picking Penn State or Purdue in the college football playoff just because they're going to a big noon kickoff is going to be there tomorrow night?
I mean, the only person I could maybe see doing it just, for knee slappers is probably Reggie, just to be like the comical guy.
I don't even think he would.
But yeah, no. Just
The thing is, is you would if he would put Ohio State or Alabama in that 4 spot, nobody would be talking about his college football final playoffs at
yeah.
all. But he had to throw in I'm not a homer, to have the Aggies beat Michigan in the national championship.
Yeah.
If you're a Michigan grad, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, he picked us in the Final Four. Oh, he had us losing."
Yeah. Yeah. See, I thought that's what was funny too, is how he kept claiming he's like, I'm not being a homer with this pick. And it's like,
But you are.
you are because you still put them in the final four regardless. Like, whether they're there or not, you're being a homer by putting your team that you're an alumni
And,
of.
and you're completely throwing away the fact that you have Ohio State at home in Columbus. You have Ohio State who's pissed off about that game. You have Ohio State who returns 80% of their productivity on offense and 90% of their defense.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I've been talking about this with my guys at work too, just because of how bad these picks were by Desmond Howard. Like you said, three of those four can be justified. Obviously, Pitt can't be because, like I said, what hype other than this week do they have coming into this year? But the other thing is too, I don't even think a logical analyst, whether it be like Herb Street or whether it even be like Urban or whoever on College Game Day Fox or Big Noon Kickoff, you completely overlook two of the top four teams currently ranked because Desmond Howard did it because, for one, he's a Michigan homer, and two, he doesn't like Ohio State. I mean, we saw that last year at the Heisman ceremony.
Yep.
He had shots at CJ Stroud.
Yep. And he's still taking shots at CJ Stroud.
Oh, yeah.
I believe CJ Stroud he could have he can win the Heisman by the beginning of November, and there somehow, some way, Desmond Howard would find some flaw
Oh,
in him. It's just mind boggling, like the clown show that he is. He's not entertaining at all. He's gonna
no.
come to Columbus Saturday, and he's gonna be booed. Like I bet he's gonna have to talk real loud like this because them fans behind him.
Yeah.
And don't also Notre Dame hates him too.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
but he's going to eat it all up. He's going to eat it all up. College game day will be in Pittsburgh tomorrow, and then big noon kickoff will be in Purdue, West Lafayette, and then obviously Saturday. So let's dive right into those two games. Thursday night football. Uh, Great. I mean, we're ordering. My wife and I order some roosters. We'll watch sit and flip back and forth between the two games. Um, Pitt and West Virginia, Penn State and Purdue. Good Thursday night action for week one. You couldn't ask for better for two games.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like we talked about before, Purdue might be one of the teams you don't want to sleep on in the Big Ten this year, especially in the West, because they got their quarterback. Not really a whole lot outside of that, but I mean, he's able to keep them in games, and I think he can really be a difference maker for Purdue this year.
Yeah, I think for Penn State, Purdue they got O'Connell. That's who you're talking about, O'Connell. I
Yeah,
think for Penn State, Manny Diaz defense has to find has to rely on the offense to make some plays. Penn State's going to be solid defensively. They always are, but can Sean Clifford and his year 90,000 at Penn State get the job done? By the way, he does not have Jahan Dotson. This is where I think Penn State has to establish the run game because they've been hot garbage the past couple years.
yeah,
Our offensive line was one of the worst in the Big Ten. So if Penn State can control the game against Purdue, because Purdue is going to come out guns blazing. I've been to West Lafayette for a Thursday night game against Northwestern in 2018. It was electric. It was electric. We saw what they did against Ohio State in West Lafayette. Purdue is a very popular pick in Vegas to beat Penn State, just like West Virginia and Pitt. It just comes down to the quarterbacks. It really does. But I think Penn State's defense is a little bit stronger. We'll make our picks here in a few minutes when we talk about that. West Virginia, the backyard brawl. First time in a long time we've seen this game. High
yeah,
anticipated game. It's going to be fun Thursday night game. JT Daniels, battle of USC quarterbacks.
yeah,
JTD, I like JTD. Mountaineer Nation, let's ride. I think more eyes are going to be on this game because of what Desmond Howard did. Desmond Howard picked Pitt, which caused viewers to go onto that game
yeah,
because I will laugh my butt off if week one, not even the first Saturday of games, Desmond Howard's Final Four goes.
Oh, dude, if that happens, I can tell you right now, I'd be one of the happiest people. Mainly because, outside of Desmond's whole clown act and that top four pick that he made, I might have a little resentment still towards Texas A&M because of last year. But I mean, what team or what fan of whoever team they root for wouldn't feel that way about a certain team if they lost?
Right? I mean, look at me with Michigan.
Yeah,
Like, I hate Michigan. I mean, and I hope we beat the doors off of them every year. Like, I really do. Just like I feel like though, well, just like you feel like that with Auburn. But it's gonna be fun. Those two games tomorrow night are gonna be electric. Obviously, you got Western Michigan, Michigan State on Friday. That should be a solid matchup. But Saturday, we've been waiting for this, Logan, for a long time. Um, we could,
seems
yeah, the two of us could say this while we're on air. We have the two best teams on paper. We have the two best teams in the country.
yeah.
It's us, and it's Alabama and Ohio State, and then there's a huge drop off, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Um, Biggest thing for Alabama, in my opinion, I'll let you get more into that. In my opinion, for Utah State is they're potentially they could be scoreboard watching. I mean, I'm sure Saban will have them ready. I'm just blowing smoke out my ass. I mean, they could be scoreboard watching, especially like if Utah, who's going to the swamp, and Ohio State's playing Notre Dame. Think about this, Logan, and this could happen. Ohio State obliterates Notre Dame. They're the number one team in the country come Tuesday when the AP poll comes out.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, especially with that being a battle of two top five teams. Yeah.
What Utah State? It's a game that typically Ohio State plays one of these teams week one, and you guys play. Usually, this is the first time in a while that I haven't. That you guys probably been home for week one because you guys either played in Orlando, Atlanta, Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like here recently, like the last 3 to 5 years, it's been back and forth between I want to say the Chick-fil-A kickoff game in Atlanta and then normally down in Dallas if it wasn't in Atlanta.
I'll still never forget when it was in Dallas. They're playing USC, and USC came out barking like dogs, and Alabama just blew the smoke doors off of them.
One of my favorite games because Reuben Foster, God love the guy, even though he kind of screwed himself at the NFL draft combine by pulling the "Do you know who I am" card when you're going to be a rookie in the NFL. No, at that point, no one knows who you are. But he's one of my all-time favorite defensive players from Bama, just because of his play style. He sent Deshaun Watson on a freaking helicopter 360 in the national title game. His hard hitting style, I remember there was a tight end or a wide receiver that came on like a little out route towards the sideline. You just see Foster and Landon Collins both come in like heat seeking missiles and just blast the dude. That made it one of the most fun games for me to watch. And then, not to mention, a true freshman, Jalen Hurts, comes in and just starts scrambling all over their defense. I mean, there's not really much more I could say about that.
Right. Yeah. So Utah State comes into town, comes into Tuscaloosa. Um, talk about it.
So
I know it's hard.
it's hard because it's not something that as a fan I'm used to because, like we said, the last 5 6 years I've been so used to us opening with still a big name, competitor, good competition.
Except for Duke.
Yeah, I think that was still a warm up. I don't know why we had that at a kickoff neutral site, but hey, I mean, I'll take it. But I mean, we saw Utah State last week. Logan Bonner, quarterback, he looked good, but I mean, it's not hard to look good when you're playing UConn. So looking at that, I mean, he had some pretty impressive stats. See if I can pull it up here real quick.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I obviously don't think Alabama will have anything to worry about that game.
no,
Um, their biggest thing is scoreboard watching and knowing who they got. They travel to Austin next week.
yeah, no. I was okay. So here is Logan Bonner's stats from last week. He went 20 of 29, 281, and three touchdowns, no interceptions. But like I said, that's against a UConn team who's struggled to win even 2 or 3 games over the last few years.
Yeah.
But I was watching a video earlier, just press conferences and some of the players and Coach Saban earlier, just kind of talking about their preview for the game coming up. I think this is the most ready I've been for college football in a while because seeing Will Anderson up at the podium talking about he's had a smile on his face since he woke up this morning because he's ready to start hitting quarterbacks and sacking people. That that really got me in the mood for this Saturday. So regardless it's Utah State, but I'm ready for it.
Obviously, your eyes will be in on that game. I'll be in the shoe for the highest, the marquee matchup of maybe the year, if you look at it, non-conference matchup of the year. Number 5 Notre Dame comes into Columbus. Malik Zaire, former quarterback, average quarterback from Notre Dame, is mouthing off on Facebook saying that Ohio State is not going to play on a marquee channel for the rest of the year. Him and Cardell Jones going back and forth on Twitter with a bet. Um, basically calling Ohio State soft. I mean, What I've been hearing at Ohio State, Ryan Day came out and said that Ohio State's defense, fast, violent, and chaos. I mean, if that's what they're causing, watch out, Notre Dame. I mean, they got a nice tight end, they got a nice pass rusher. Um, Tight end made threw some shots, about the shoe. I get it. You're going to say that you're going to be hyped up for that game. It's going to be a lot of fun. To me, Vegas has 18 points right now. 18.
Dang. So that's definitely gone up then from the last I saw. Because
18 points.
yeah, because I think the last I saw, I looked at it Saturday or Sunday, one of the two, and I think it was still like 14 or 15. I hadn't
It
looked.
went up to 17 and a half on Monday, 18 to this morning. I think CJ Stroud, Buckeyes playing with a chip shoulder. They're going to be mad. They're going to be pissed off. They're going to be ready for Notre Dame. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. It's going to be a blast. Oh, what a game it's going to be.
So I mean, looking at it now, because I mean, you have all these pieces coming in. You have Stroud, Smith, and Jigba, who are going to be the top two dogs on your guys' offense. Marvin Harrison Jr., son of one of my favorite NFL wide receivers. Looking forward to see how he's going to look, because if he's with him getting a starting role now, I'm really hoping that he can produce. But I I don't see any way really that Notre Dame's going to keep this close, because I mean, they don't have Jack Cohn anymore, which not really saying that was very much for him last year anyways, but I mean, they don't really have much at quarterback to really brag about. Like, they got Buckner starting, but who really knows what he's going to be able to do, especially against your guys' defense, who should be revamped now that you have Jim Knowles at the D coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, you forgot to mention Travion Henderson and Mayan Williams. That
Yeah.
offensive line, you finally got guards playing guards, tackles playing tackles. You got three tight ends. I think that could be huge. That are secret weapon because nobody knows about these three. Nobody knows. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to be in the shoe this Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. Um, so I mean, that's all I've personally really got this week. Let's dive into our picks before we get into the show. It's a short show. There's just two of us. Usually we have more in depth analysis with the other guys. So let's get into our picks. Logan's going to do APs, and I'm going to do Joseph's along with myself um, for the picks. And all right, so all right, do you want to name all the games off?
Uh, yeah. Let's see. Do you want to do it in a certain order, like just starting by
Start,
tomorrow?
start with tomorrow's games. The games that I think I put a list down. I think I put a list for us in the group chat.
Let's see. So tomorrow, obviously, we have West Virginia Pitt, 7 p.m. For that one, I'm gonna do my pick real quick. I'm going to West Virginia on that. Let's see.
Joseph also had West Virginia, and I'm taking West Virginia as well.
All right. See if I can find Aaron's list here. I apologize because I'm
No,
streaming my phone here, so try to find the picture if I can.
you're good. I have him. Hold on. He has Pitt.
Okay, I was gonna say I thought that's what it
Yeah, he
was.
has the list of games too, by the way. Uh Penn State at Purdue. I have Penn State. Aaron has Penn State. Joseph has Penn State.
Yeah, I mean it's without question consensus Penn State, because I didn't really see Purdue doing a whole lot tomorrow night, honestly.
All right. And then Army at Coastal. I have Army beating Coastal Carolina. Aaron has Coastal Carolina. Joseph has Coastal Carolina.
Let's say I'm with you on that. I'm going Army if I'm looking at it. Now, sorry, Joseph, for not picking Coastal and your boy Grayson McCall, but no matter who it is the Army's playing, whether it's Ohio State or
They
Coastal
slowed the game down.
or even, you know, if it's like Arkansas State, a smaller school, they know how to control the pace and they typically play people tough.
Right.
Status.
All right. Houston against University of Texas San Antonio. I have Houston. Aaron has Houston. Joseph has Houston.
I went with on that one too because I mean it's UTSA. There's not anything to say about them.
Illinois, Indiana. Aaron said Illinois close. I have Illinois blowing out Indiana.
I after the way that Illinois looked last week, I mean I'm with you on this one because Tom Allen's a good coach, but I don't know how things are going to look this year for Indiana.
All right. And Joseph had Illinois as well. TCU, Colorado. I have TCU. Aaron has TCU. Joseph has TCU.
I'm going to be the odd man out on this one. I went with Colorado.
All righty.
I don't know what I have an affinity for Colorado for some reason.
Yeah. Memphis at Mississippi State. Aaron has Mississippi State winning, but he says he can also see Memphis winning. I have Memphis winning. And Joseph has Mississippi State winning.
I went with Mississippi State just for the sole reason they have Mike Leach as their head coach.
What a weirdo.
I can't get enough of his post game press conferences, like him talking about his pet raccoon. The dude's just he's so fun to listen to.
All right. Louisville at Syracuse. Aaron went with an upset. He has Syracuse. I also have Louisville. Joseph has Louisville.
I went with Syracuse on this one.
Okay. Boise State at Oregon State. I'm going with the Beavers. Aaron's going with Boise. Joseph's going with Boise.
Now, don't get me wrong, I like the Smurf turf and all, but
It's at Oregon State.
yeah, I'd say Oregon State, regardless, they were one of the teams that when we were doing our predictions for the conferences, before we found out that they weren't doing divisions, they were one of the teams I had to compete with Oregon for the division title.
So you got Oregon State?
Yep.
All right. Sunday night. LSU, Florida State. I have Florida State. Aaron has Florida State. Joseph has Florida State.
I went with Florida State, and I'll be honest, and excuse my language for this, but it's just for the pure fact of Brian Kelly really pissed me off with that fake ass Southern accent when he first got down there. I don't think I want someone any more than I did then.
All right. So the spreads. I had Arkansas and Cincinnati. I will go with that one. The spread here. Let me find it. Arkansas and Cincinnati. Arkansas, 6.5-point favorite. Give me the Hogs straight up. 6 plus 7. I think there'll be too much for Cincinnati.
Yeah. I mean, especially after all the people Cincinnati lost to the draft this year. I was going with Arkansas to take all the way. Me personally, I predict them to win by no less than 2 touchdowns.
So Joseph's pick against my pick against the spread was Arkansas and Cincinnati. I picked Arkansas to win by 7. Joseph has Florida beating Utah straight up. That was his pick against the spread. Aaron had AP had Oregon and Georgia. Georgia is plus 17. He took Oregon, but Georgia winning. But he took Georgia with the plus 17. He says Oregon plus 17 versus Oregon. Oregon against the spread. Georgia outright. Oregon has the talent on defense to make the things a bit tough for Georgia's offense. People assume Georgia will plug and play on defense. We'll see on that. I don't doubt it, but they might be skeptical on week one. So he does pick Georgia to win outright, but he taking Oregon with the spread.
Yeah, that one, that was the one that I picked for against the spread was Georgia and Oregon because I'm for the spread with Cincinnati and Arkansas, but really thinking about it, I don't know how I see Oregon lining up a defense that's good enough to stop Brock Bowers on Georgia. And I mean, at this point, it's like I said, it's Dan Lanning's first year, but he knows the Georgia offense. So I mean, I could be wrong.
All right, your pick against the spread. I gave you Ohio State, Notre Dame, but when I gave it to you, it was plus 14. Now it's plus 18. Has that
Yeah.
changed? Has that changed your mindset now that it's plus 18?
Now that it's plus 18, yeah. I like I said earlier, I don't see any way that Notre Dame can really keep this close. The way that Ohio State's coming into it this week, you got Smith and Jigba, Stroud, Henderson, Mine Williams, as you noted. There's just too much firepower on your guys' offense. I see Ohio State running away with this one and easily just taking the spread.
If you listen to the Bunch of Nuts podcast, I picked the score to be 48-27, which is going with the spread plus 3. It, what a week. We're week 1, man. We are week 1. We're less than 12 hours away from kicking off college football officially kicking off college football. Week 0 is for the birds. It's for the Irish and the free beer over there in Ireland. Logan,
whatever that beer snake was, I guess.
Yeah, Logan, it's been real. It's been fun. Enjoy all the games, man. Enjoy. Look out. I'll try to get this posted tomorrow morning. I will have this scheduled for tomorrow morning. I'll get up in the morning after it downloads, and before I go to work, I will schedule it. But Logan, it's been real. Enjoy your weekend of college football. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Don't forget, we got Georgia Tech Clemson on Monday night.
Yeah. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Just like every other year.
Logan, are you throwing any type of tailgating or anything? I know for the Utah State game, I'm kind of interested to see how you're going to take this weekend because, Alabama plays at 7, Ohio State plays at 7:30. You never know, that Alabama game might be out of the
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, like I might have the Alabama game just playing on my phone, have it sitting off to the side, and I might be switching channels, mainly paying attention to Ohio State and Notre Dame on the big screen. So I think that's pretty much how it's going to be this weekend. But I mean, we got a full slate, so it's hard to tell.
And then we get into the NFL next week. We get a little break for college football with some bad games, except for Alabama, Texas. Until next week, Logan, have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. Let's get out of here.
All right.